In an unprecedented affront to Meghan Markle's fading delusions of grandeur, the disgraced Duchess of Sussex suffered a humiliating rebuke after reportedly being barred from delivering any remarks whatsoever during the opening and closing ceremonies at the 10th annual Invictus Games last month. The extraordinary snub, confirmed across multiple insider leaks from palace communications staffers monitoring the couple's continually caustic publicity firestorms, marked a staggering plummet demonstrating how far the fallen ex-royal's reputation has cratered in the eyes of institutional decision-makers once bending over backwards accommodating her mercurial volatilities. According to scathing behind-the-scenes accounts reconstructing Buckingham Palace's official decree muzzling Markle just ahead of the competition's launch, concerns solidified around preemptively preventing yet another international media relations catastrophe following the absolute mayhem she incited overshadowing previous Invictus Games after serially disgracing herself with vulgar publicity stunts hijacking planned veteran honorariums into personal affirmation platforms. With the entire world still reeling from her disastrous meltdowns where she essentially desecrated sacred commemorations mourning wounded Allied military heroes by instead screeching racial grievance demands venerating convicted terrorists, senior royal advisors simply refused entertaining even remote possibilities allowing Meghan opportunities capitalizing on fresh scandals. Look, we're certainly not about censoring free expression regardless how insipid the rhetoric might run at times. That's a core principle upholding sovereign liberty our troops courageously defended while staring down ancestral barbarism since Agincourt, snorted one veteran palace communications attaché frankly assessing the situation's gravity. However, should an ostensibly compassion-championing celebrity personality remain so utterly dissociated from recognizing their own chronically disgraceful misconduct triggering widespread outrage everywhere except inside their solipsistic bubble of self-absorption fantasies, well, at that juncture judicious discipline ceases qualifying as petty oppression. It starts becoming an ethical obligation safeguarding institutional sanctity from reckless sabotage. By all officially corroborated accountings detailing the Duchess's deplatforming intervention in advance of 2023's Invictus Games festivities, Markle's own narcissistic inability recognizing lines she repeatedly crossed provoking such punitive measures comprised the exact catalyzing deficiencies validating preemptive restrictions. Despite personal pleas from Prince Harry and sympathetic advisors from their Montecito compound providing Meghan opportunities toward issuing revised public statements acknowledging wrongdoings while taking remedial accountability, the disgraced ex-royal refused contrition gestures necessary demonstrating good faith remorse qualifying renewed trust. Instead, Markle allegedly escalated outrageously gaslighting palace liaisons coordinating the annual Veterans Charity event by arrogantly demanding hosting privileges as vengeful payback against any perceived persecutory derelictions. I'm just taking Meg at her literal word based on my understanding of events. But apparently the final indignity precipitating senior Buckingham leadership's unanimous verdict arrived after she outright threatened suing the Crown for defamation unless providing spots delivering opening and closing remarks railing against systemic oppression targeting marginalized victims of her intersectional misogynoir identities, divulged one insider describing the Duchess's jaw-dropping audacity preceding the hammer coming down. Because by that point, the lady basically started transcending common public relations grifts into territories more aptly characterized as bad faith contractual extortion demanding global broadcast platforms leveraging post-colonial trauma for personal gain against a literal war hero's charity, an escalation royals refused entertaining under any ethical scenario imaginable. Although virtually nobody denies the Sussexes' persistent grifter proclivities gradually exhausting institutional goodwill supplies, Meghan's vehement outrage toward palace officials' decree prohibiting involvement initially manifested as frantic lobbying campaigns attempting overruling Buckingham's decisive verdict on administrative procedures. According to leaked digital communications circulating throughout UK media bureau channels, the Duchess launched relentless text barrages petitioning individual royal functionaries explicitly bargaining potential cooperation ratcheting up or down inflammatory rhetoric depending upon whether realizing stage time demands. In a few conspicuous social media posts rapidly deleted yet still screenshotted for documentation purposes, Markle even attempted leveraging her popularity among Corbynite fringes of Britain's IdPol commentariat ecosystem by reframing accountability consequences as imperialist oppression tactics against indigenous feminist empowerment icons. However, once recognizing this transparently manipulative PR strategy already backfired by reconfirming suspicions of her self-serving agendas remaining incompatible with long-standing charitable missions, the enraged Duchess allegedly commenced escalating toward more menacingly aggressive postures against perceived antagonists within royal institutions. Details have emerged concerning some of Markle's specific professionalized retaliation proposals officially reported to law enforcement for serious investigation, including proposals hiring social media influence operators, launching orchestrated cyber harassment campaigns, and professional trolling brigades deployed against targets among veteran charity volunteer staffers serving the Invictus competitions. Other alleged schemes involved personally bankrolling deception ops, employing deep-fake audio-video manipulation technologies, contrived spreading believably synthetic rumors associating innocent staff families with fringe anti-royal militias in efforts intimidating resignations. Honestly, at some point her whole unglued persecution complex simply stopped differentiating between truth and paranoid fiction in any possible reality, intersecting with all remaining associates, sighed one former friend, repudiating the Duchess following repeated attempts at staged reconciliation interventions failing. Because by the end, Meghan just started believing we banded together mass coordinating actual terrorist insurgencies involving things like hijacking the royal broadcast feed, forcibly reinstalling her onto the stage at gunpoint, utterly bonkers plots nobody besides her unhinged narcissistic delusions ever considered remotely practical, let alone took seriously for a millisecond. With accountability pathways forestalling any potential cooperation or compromise continuing deteriorating alongside the Duchess's own diplomatic efforts hastening conflagrations, Buckingham Palace leadership essentially abandoned all potential olive branches extending Markle involvement. Instead, crisis managers strategized comprehensive contingencies, preparing defensive safeguards, reassuring complete broadcast production integrity insulated from infiltration, hijackings, or rogue interjections from Sussex factions pursuing notoriety at all costs. According to interviews with players involved facilitating the internationally televised competition logistics, the drastic countermeasures escalated into quasi-militarized operations closely resembling security protocols previously deployed alongside heads of state-level dignitary protection details, guaranteeing stable continuity of ceremonial government transitions. After sifting through an avalanche of increasingly disturbed dossiers detailing Meghan's spiraling mental breakdowns, where she started unabashedly flaunting enthusiasm about potential Waco-style suicide by cop martyrdoms or leveraging kidnapping scenarios targeting royal families as hostage negotiation chips, well, we couldn't ethically gamble continuing gambling her assurances about principled conduct anymore. Deadpanned one Invictus Games security liaison coordinating tactical safeguard implementations alongside Secret Service protective details and FBI hostage rescue teams maintaining overwatch. Because regardless how you examine her behavioral volatility vectors, transitioning from affirmative activist ambassador into dangerously deranged vigilante accelerationist territory, any sane risk assessors identify her fast evolving into a credible threat, potentially capitalizing chaos toward bloodshed, leveraging the world stage. Culminating a perfect storm already whipsawing crisis preparation nodes across overlapping security command headquarters. A final intelligence debrief alerted law enforcement that Markle apparently hacked royal communications servers, attempting intercepting broadcast routing coordinates for Invictus Games opening ceremony production feeds. Combined with converging data suggesting unauthorized wire transfers siphoning million-dollar wire bounties toward retaining suspected mercenary paramilitary brigades, potentially coordinating militarized interdiction deployments, emergency countermeasures hardened positions, essentially demilitarizing the entire event. By withholding all remote broadcast access credentials until moments before live transmissions while deploying electromagnetic pulse weaponry, forcing widespread communications blackouts throughout surrounding urban perimeters, Palace liaisons achieved success in containing Markle's interference from destabilizing globally televised veteran celebrations. In retrospect, it seems completely ridiculous that this entire debacle snowballed from original security plans focusing on protecting competitors and their families from radicalized terror cells to fortifying entire broadcasting networks from a former working royal literally trying swarming the main stage engulfed in explosives like some absolutist revolutionary thwarted guerrilla. Summarized one operations commander still staggered, recounting peak escalations overseeing Invictus Games. Countermeasures. But I mean come